The tax, which was vehemently supported by President Obama in Copenhagen, will cost American families already laboring under the greatest financial collapse for generations at least $3,000 a year just for starters. There can no longer be any denial that a world government is preparing to plunder the West by enforcing a myriad of different global consumption taxes for financial levies to a carbon tax, which will do absolutely nothing to address the real environmental issues and will be solely used to expand the power of the World Bank and the IMF and the UN. Allied to the global tax assault is the newly published, this is published by them, IMF strategy document, direct link in our article, directly to them. You'll be on the IMF website, okay? No more denial, no more thumb sucking. We were right about it all. We told you the truth and took the heat for decades, being laughed at by every neocon and every liberal scumbag paid off. I was offered huge jobs 10 years ago to stop talking about this, and I said no, because I care about my country and my family. I'm not going to get mad. But how can you not get angry? The same banks that created the derivatives and scammed us, that own both parties, are now openly setting up world government. They've set up private intelligence units inside the U.S. to suppress patriots, the main group being gun owners, returning veterans, and people that protest the bankers. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop. I apologize. Back to the article. Look, if you're not angry, something's wrong with you. You're going into bondage. Allied to the global tax is a newly published IMF strategy document that calls for the implementation of a global currency called the Bancor, where they just create unending trillions for themselves that we got to back up with tax money. I'm about to read the quote here in a minute from them, which will be pushed through by means of draconian regulatory measures that eviscerate sovereignty rights of nation states and hand complete economic control to the global economy over to a tiny despotic ruling elite. The Bancor will hand the IMF the power to manipulate exchange rates and determine the eventual collapse of the dollar. Massive resistance must be focused around rejecting the institution of global taxes paid to the United Nations and the formation of global currencies. Otherwise, the last tattered shreds of American sovereignty will be flushed down the toilet for good. Now, that's the Prison Planet article. Every statement is linked directly to the IMF, World Bank, UN. Every stinking statement. All proof. But when Nightline was here a few months ago, I tried to give them all these documents. They laughed at me and went on ABC News and basically said I was a lunatic with no proof. They're counting on you not going and reading this. Do you understand? They're doing economically what Hitler and Stalin couldn't do militarily. Now, when we come back, I'm going to finish up on this and then go to your phone calls for all of you patiently holding. 888-201-2244. Got like 15 people on hold. We'll get to all of you, but I got to cover this. Because when we come back, I'm going to show you how they're pushing everything in this report we did in the mainstream news, but with sugar-coated garbage. It's all coming up, and I'm going to read what central bankers have to say. The Republic is on its knees.
I was a highwayman.
The hedge of protection, the Bill of Rights and Constitution, is being dismantled scientifically. A ruthless coterie of world financiers openly stating that they want planetary government for forced population reduction is in control. I wanted to read to you some quotes here. Here's one by Zhu Zhuangchan, the Chinese central bank head. And this is at the last UN meeting, and they're now ratifying all of this. A super sovereign reserve currency not only eliminates the inherent risk of credit-based sovereign currency, but so now these private bankers can do whatever they want, but also makes it possible to manage global liquidity. A super sovereign reserve currency managed by a global institution could be used to both create and control global liquidity, wrote Chinese central bank head in a paper calling for world currency. The centralized management of its member countries' reserves of the fund will be an effective measure to promote a greater role of the SDR, special drawing right, to the International Monetary Fund's first effort at a world currency as a reserve currency. And what does the IMF publicly call for? The same thing. And so when you hear on the news, oh, they're developing a new global currency. Oh, they're developing new bank rules. Oh, they're not going to allow what happened with the subprime mortgages to happen again. It's the mega banks that changed the rules and sold those. Again, I'll go back 4 months ago. The head of the Texas Banking Association got it right. They wrote a big editorial and said, these are the mega banks that caused the collapse. They want to come in. They control federal regulators. They want to take us over. Now what's happening? It's the very crooks that have engineered all this that are carrying this out. And once they've got their global currency in place, they won't give you credit if you're a patriot, if you're somebody that criticizes them. They're openly saying this. This is a global financial dictatorship that's being set up. So look at these mainstream news headlines that I just searched the term global bank rules today, and this is what I got here. Business Journalism reports, new global bank rules can be local U.S. story, and says our government's writing its banking rules under the new power the Federal Reserve's gotten. They got more power out of engineering the crisis to set rules to be unified in tandem with the new global rules, because the Federal Reserve is part of this cartel. Here's another one. Canadian Financial Minister, Canada banks well positioned for Basel rules. Basel, Switzerland, sets their rules. Here's a new one. Greenspan, let Bush-era tax cuts expire. They know when they raise the taxes that it's going to shut the economy down even more. They know that. That's what they want. That's out of a Marketplace, Wall Street Journal. Here's another one. Washington Post. Once considered unthinkable, U.S. sales tax gets fresh look. And they want a VAT. What is the IMF and World Bank calling for? An international, a national. They are trying to set up a world government where they set the tax rules. And they state all that. It's all stated. But I can't get national talk show hosts to talk about it. Oh, now they're forced a little bit. But they say, we've got to pay our bills to these bankers. That's of the Lord. We don't owe this money. It's all a fraud. Here's another one. Energy Department says it has mandate to force market transformation for household appliances, even not just deciding what type of new appliance with their buddies who have patents for it, but if you can even have the appliance, federal home inspections, all of it under the carbon tax regime. But they can't pass that legislation, so they're just having the bureaucracy do it. That's out of CNS News. So these are just some of the reports on that front. And that dovetails with some good news, though. The UN has gone from 10 months ago denying the Copenhagen emails were even real, ClimateGate, when we first started reporting on it, when it was just hackers claimed they had it, then it turned out it was all real, to admitting, okay, we lied about the polar ice caps melting, they're getting bigger. Okay, we lied about the polar bears dying. There's actually more of them than ever. Okay, we lied about the glaciers and the Himalayas melting. They're getting bigger. Okay, it's all a fraud. It doesn't matter. The population's too big. We still need these taxes to shut down the economy. In fact, guys, I had it in my stack Friday, but I know you already moved it. I actually highlighted it. Will you come dig through the stack and find the quotes of, because I don't want to paraphrase them. I want to show people the quotes. And there's a video link. He did CNS News and 2 other TV interviews where the White House science czar said, we've got to shut down the economy. These are quotes. He said, we've got to have a post-industrial U.S. Here's the stack right here. You can walk in front of the camera. I don't care. Get it for me. I can't dig it out live on air. I want to actually read those quotes to people. I don't want to. Or here, just search the term live on TV, and for radio listeners, search the term White House science czar or John P. Holdren, knock U.S. back to Stone Age. And that'll pull up our article about it, but it has the quotes in it and the link to the video. I mean, folks, just John P. Holdren, knock U.S. back to Stone Age. And please, please, please go look at it. They want to shut the economy down. Don't believe me. Go look it up right now. I mean, if you don't have a computer, go to the library Monday and do it. Please find out I'm telling you the truth. Watch the stinking video. He sat down with Cyber News Service and others this week and said it's a wonderful thing to get rid of your jobs. I mean, these people aren't going to stop. The mega banks are waging war against the free market. They don't like you having a good life. They want you dependent on them. Oh, please. The guys were telling me earlier I was turning red in here. I mean, I really am getting angry. I don't like people robbing me. I don't like them taking my country over and butchering my rights for myself and my wife and my children. I mean, I'm mad about this. And I guess I'm a weirdo. I'm a weirdo. I told you 15 years ago about all this, and it came true. I'm a weirdo that I get mad about freedom being destroyed. I should only care if my football team loses. And that is why we're in so much trouble. We need to get serious minds. We need to get angry and focus and really take action. Now, here is a report here from WOAI television. Texas sues to block bizarre global warming EPA rules. The state of Texas today sued the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and a federal court in Washington, D.C., claiming 4 new regulations imposed by the EPA are based on thoroughly discredited, hallelujah, findings of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and are factually flawed, and it goes on from there. And so this is all admitted. And Abbott's Attorney General of Texas is telling the truth. If they admit it's a fraud. Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott says the rules are illegal and if imposed will cost Texas in higher energy costs and tens of thousands of lost jobs. The state explained that the IPCC and therefore the EPA relied on flawed science to conclude that the greenhouse emissions endanger public health and welfare, Abbott said, because the administration predicted its endangerment findings of the IPCC's questionable facts. The state is seeking to prevent the EPA's new rules and the economic harm that will result from these regulations from being imposed on Texas employers, workers, and enforcement agencies. Well, we got to go further than that. The state of Texas is investigating and needs to block the City of Austin law they passed 2 months ago for $2.6 billion. Austin Energy admits in increased prices in the next 3 years on gas and power in a new carbon tax. I mean, Austin just now passed this garbage. Austin just now ran this through. And what did Schwarzenegger say at the Copenhagen event last November? He said, you can pull up the quotes, because the U.S. won't do this, we're going to go to the cities and states and get it through. Of course, he was involved in Enron scamming everybody. What do you expect? And of course, the Republicans just love him. Oh, we love you, Arnold. You're so conservative. Oh, we love you, Newt Gingrich, calling for carbon taxes. Oh, it's so trendy. Continuing, White House has put out a press release, global warming out, global climate disruption in. So now if there's any type of climate change, I mean, they're teaching school kids already, this has been going on for years, that any type of change in weather is abnormal. Pretty soon, you know, kids will say, Grandpa's crazy, right, Mommy? He says, used to, we had, didn't have seasons, right?